All right, so now we're ready to begin exercise 1, isolating individual colonies. In this exercise, you'll practice aseptic technique by inoculating agar plates. The first step for the procedure is to, approximately 1 hour before you begin this exercise, pour 2 agar plates. So there's a PDF that you can look at for all the instructions, but I'll include a short video on how I did it. And then it says, note, plates may be poured in advance, stored in an airtight bag, and refrigerated for future use. So it's up to you if you want to pour plates as you do the exercises, or if you want to pour them all and just store them in your fridge. So step 2, gather 2 inoculation loops, the sterile swab pack, and 2 disposable cups. There's 2 disposable cups. Here's my inoculation loops, the sterile swabs, and baker's yeast, alcohol, paper towels, bleach, your permanent marker, where did I put it? Oh, there. Your gloves, mask, apron, and goggles. Alright, so wash your hands thoroughly with soap and warm water, and then put on gloves, goggles, apron, and a face mask. Alright, so now we will push these things to the side. And we'll sterilize our workspace. And you'll want to make the 10% bleach solution, and there says to prepare a 10% bleach solution, add 1 part bleach to 9 parts water. For example, add a ½ cup of bleach to 4½ cups of water. I did 30 mils of bleach and then filled it to the 300 ml line. So I'll just pour a bit out, cover this, and then wipe down my work area. You'll want to allow that to dry. Alright, and then step 6, label the agar side bottom of each plate with a permanent marker for the microbe it will contain. So we'll grab 2 of our plates. Oh, and you want to keep as much air out as possible. So the first one is going to be S. cerevisiae. So S. CEREBISIAE, and then the other one will be skin sample. Step 7, fill a small disposable cup half full with alcohol and place it on the work surface. I'm just going to write, I'm going to try to conserve my rubbing alcohol. So I'm glad I got small cups. So you want to label it so you know what it is. I think in another spot it asks you to do bleach as well. So that's my alcohol. And then it says to put 2 inoculation loops in the cup of alcohol to sterilize them. You'll want to put the loop side in the alcohol. And then step 8, open the yeast packet and carefully place approximately half a teaspoon of the powdered contents into an empty disposable cup and retain the remainder of the packet for future use. So this is going to be our yeast, which probably don't need to label that, but I'm just trying to be consistent. So I'll have to grab a half teaspoon. So you'll want to use a half teaspoon DSP. We'll transfer that to our cup. And then we'll save the rest of our yeast for later. And so now we're at step 9. Add approximately 1/4 of a cup of warm tap water to the yeast in the cup and swirl until dissolved. So I am going to run my water until it's hot, and then I'll grab a 1/4 cup of water. All right, so here's my 1/4 cup of water, and then it says swirl until dissolved. Mostly, if it's like stuck to the sides, you just want it to get in the water. But this is kind of what it looks like. And now we'll just let the yeast do its job and wait about 10 minutes until it's frothy. And you can already see some start, but so I'll be back in about 10 minutes. All right, it's been about 10 minutes and this is how my yeast looks now. It's not like super frothy like the picture. Oh, you can't really see that, but this is just from the website. So now we are on step 11. Carefully remove 1 sterile swab from the packet and submerge the tip of the swab in the yeast mixture until saturated. So we'll just grab one of these sterile swabs. So each one has 2 in it, and so you can see. You'll want to open it on the side that the handle is to keep these sterile. And just remove 1. And that'll keep this one sterile, and we'll just submerge it. And then it says immediately transfer the yeast mixture, saturating the swab into one quadrant of the agar plate labeled S cerveza. So we're going to be using this one. And it doesn't say so, but since these are so small, I'm going to draw my quadrants. So I have like an idea of what 1/4 of the plate looks like. And so it references this. We'll put it into 1 quadrant, and then we'll use the loop to pull it from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3, and then from 3 to 4. And you pull from the center and then work out, if you can see that. So we will, so I'll also say like, this one's 1, 2, 3, and, or no, 3 and 4. So what we'll do, and you just lift the bottom up and swipe it into the first quadrant. So now we're at step 13, return the lid to the auger plate. So you don't want to work with it like this and lift up the plate, because then things can fall onto your plate. So if you work under it, then it doesn't expose the plate to things that are in the air, and you can be sure that you're not contaminating your plate. And then step 14, place the swab in a 10% bleach solution. I'm going to label a third 10% bleach. And then I'm just gonna transfer some of my 10% bleach into it. And so yeah, once this is done, you can just stick it in the bleach. And so that'll be our waste, basically. So now we are at step 15. Remove an inoculation loop from the cup of alcohol and shake it briskly to air dry. So you don't want to, I'll use one of these as an example. You don't want to like wave it in the air to dry it. That's a good way to pick up stuff from the air, and we want to keep this sterile. So what I'm gonna do is just tap it against the side, and that should get rid of large droplets, and then I'm just gonna let it air dry like that. So then we're at step 16. Open the lid of the S. cerevisiae auger plate and touch the loop to the edge of the inoculated quadrant and transfer microbes to the adjacent quadrant of the plate. So we'll want to transfer from quadrant 1 into quadrant 2 in a zigzag pattern. And then we'll stick this back into the alcohol. So now we're at step 17. Return the lid to the auger plate. Put the inoculation loop into the cup of alcohol to sterilize it. After 20 seconds, remove the inoculation loop from the alcohol and shake briskly to air dry. So I'm just going to tap it. And then I'll let that air dry for a little bit. And then we're going to transfer from quadrant 2 to quadrant 3. And yeah, this looks dry. So I'll transfer from quadrant 2 to quadrant 3 in a zigzag pattern. And then stick it back in the alcohol and close the lid. So we just did from 2 to 3, and then we still have from 3 to 4. So step 20 repeats steps 16 through 19 until all 4 quadrants of S. cerevisiae have been streaked. I'm just gonna make sure that it has enough time in the alcohol. And so we'll tap it to just let that air dry. And then we'll move some microbes from quadrant 3 into quadrant 4. Alright, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see my streak patterns really.